Okay, good morning all of you. So in your previous class we have discussed about your check rails. Okay, so I have already told you that check rails are provided in inner side of the rail. Okay, and which is used for reducing the wear of the rail, and basically these check rails are provided in the core portion. Okay, and next one is your check rails are also provided along the straight rails, which is opposite to the crossing in turnouts. Okay, so basically these are provided, okay, parallel to the inner rail. This is your inner rail which is parallelly to the inner rail. Okay, on sharp curve. This is your sharp curve position, and here this is provided, and which is reduced to the wear of the outer rail. Okay, and it also help to prevent outer wheel flames from mountaining the outer rails, and thus it will be decrease the chances of de-alignment of the vehicle. Okay, for that, to reduce the de-alignment of the vehicles or trains, it was or it will be it is your provided in the inner side of the rail. Okay, so next one is your bearing plates. Okay, so see here, this part is your bearing plate. This is your rail. All of you see here, this is your rail, which is your normal down portion is your flat, then vertical portion is sharp, then upward portion is some slope is provided here, and this is very sharp. Okay, under that your here wooden sleepers are provided, and over that and around that aggregates or your ballast are packing very well. Okay, and here this portion which is hold the rails and your sleepers at one place is known as your bearing plates. Okay, so normally your bearing plates which is used for flat footed rails. Okay, so what is bearing plate? First of all, we know what is bearing plate. So chairs used for flat footed rails are known as bearing plates. Okay, so here this chair is provided for the flat footed rail, so this is called as bearing plate. Okay, and where it is placed? It placed between the flat footed rail. Here the chair bearing plate is provided in between the flat footed rails and the wooden sleepers. Okay, and why it is used? It increase the bearing areas on the sleepers and thus decrease the loading intensity. Whatever the train load are laid on the rail, that will be decreased by the bearing plate. Okay, so normally it is in rectangular shape. Okay, you already see here that this is a rectangular shape. Okay, and this is constructed or this is made by mild steel or cast iron. Okay, this bearing plate is in rectangular shape, and this is made by your mild steel or cast iron. Okay, and it is placed below the rail to carrying heavy vehicle load or train load in high speed. Okay, and this the rectangular place made either mild steel or cast iron. Okay, and wrought iron or your malleable steels which are interposed between the foot of your flat rails and wooden sleepers. But why it is provided? It is provided to distribute the loads on larger. Okay, and this is called your bearing plate. So student, you should simply remember this. The bearing plates are the rectangular shape which is made by your mild steel or cast iron, and which is provided below the flat footed rail and your wooden sleeper. Okay, so this is called as your bearing plate. And what is it was? It was to reduce the heavy load at high speed of the trains, it reduces the load of the train. Okay. So next, come to the next slide. This slide is your chairs. Okay. So chairs, it is not your normal chair. Okay. These chairs are which is provided in the rail. Okay. And this shape is like this. So this name is your chair, which is hold your rails. Okay. So first we know what is chair and how it is used. First of all, chairs are used to hold the double-headed and bull-headed rail in position. Okay. So basically, whenever your double-headed and your bull-headed rails are placed on the ground, to hold that we are using the chairs. Okay. And for keeping the bull-headed rail in proper position. Okay. And special devices are provided in between your sleepers and your rails. Okay, which is known as your chairs. This is the portion of your chair which holds the rail and sleeper. Okay. So basically this is your rail. Okay. Basically it is of three types. One is your flat-footed rail. Second one is your bull-headed rail. And another one is the double-headed rail. Okay. So in flat-footed rail, basically this is your flat-footed rail. Okay. Basically the bottom portion is flat, then vertical, and upper portion is giving some slope. Okay. Bull-headed rail. Bull-headed rail means the upper top portion and the bottom portion are same in shape. Okay. Here is the slope which is more thick. Okay. The top portion and bottom portion are thicker, and which is used in both purpose. In past year, their bull-headed rails are used. Why? Because according to the your economical point of view, whenever the top portion is get dropped or damaged, then it will be exchanged or it will be reused the down portion to upward portion, and it will be reused. Okay. But normally by the experiment it was seen that it is not working very well. So now in our country we are using only flat-footed rail. Okay. And bull-headed rail means this is the bottom portion is more thicker than the top portion, which is carry the load of heavy speed trains. Okay. And the top portion is the shape is bull-headed, means it is giving the slope in both sides. Okay. So it is the chairs. Okay, which is provided in the to hold or to keep the bull-headed rails in proper position, or the sleepers to keeping in proper position. So here the chairs are provided. Okay. So next one is your coning of wheel. Okay. So we should know what is coning of the wheel. Wheel means you all know that it is the wheel of your train. Okay. So the train wheel, this is your inner part and this is your outer part. Okay. Basically inner part diameter, the circle diameter is larger than the outer side circle. Okay. Why? Because sometimes here only the wheels are movement over the rail. There are no other supported here. So whenever the train is moving high speed, there are chances to accident or slip. Okay. So to transfer the load inside, for that purpose, the inside diameter of the wheel is greater than the outer side of the flange or outer side diameter of the wheel. Okay. So coning of the wheel means what? Basically, coning of the wheel means the distance between the inside edge. So see here, the distance between the inside flange, okay, or wheel edge of the wheel is generally kept lesser than the gauge. So whatever the gauge is provided means what is the distance is provided between the track, that is less than the inside edges of the wheel. This is known as gauge. The gap is about 38 mm on the either side. Okay. So basically the gap, here the gap is provided 38 mm on the either side. Okay. So normally the tire is absolutely ahead center on the head of the rail. Okay. So the next slide we will discuss in your next class. Okay. Thank you.